Since I've known you, Jim, and Steve,
Yo.
I've associated one band with both of y'all. Jim, because we talked about it. I think that was when I had you do the jam the first time. We talked about Oasis. And Steve, you dress. I mean, right now you are dressed exactly in a Liam Gallagher outfit. You have the
My
parka
pretty green
on.
parka, yeah.
You're drunk and you're spitting at the pop.
That's right.
It's so let's start with you, Steve, because so tell me how
Yeah.
this fascination with Oasis began.
I never liked, all the kids loved Tupac and Biggie and hip hop, and I just never got into it. And I always loved the Beatles. And then I hear this song, Wonderwall, and it was just those last piano chord, dun, 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 and I was like, wow, that, I don't know, there's something like, I was in a trance after hearing that, and I went out and bought the CD, and I barreled through it, and I fucking loved it. And then I worked at a record store, and this guy's like, you got to listen to the one before it. It's even better. Definitely Maybe. I'm like, what is this? And I heard it, and then you'd go down this rabbit hole at the time where you could go to CD stores and you would have to buy these Japanese imports, and you get all these singles that you've never heard, or like these Beatles covers. And it was one of those bands where as soon as I heard it, I was hooked. There was something melodic, and the lyrics spoke to me. But then I pick up Q magazines, right? Like all these Q magazines, Mojo and Q and NME
Got
and
all of them.
all these different magazines, and you're reading the interviews. You're like, these guys don't give a fuck. They're hilarious. And that's why to this day I still buy all these magazines. I know people that love the Stones, people that love Van Halen, people that love the Killers, and you could love these bands, but there was something more where you wanted to learn about this band. You wanted to learn about what they're doing today or tomorrow, or their take on Blur, or their take on, Jamiroquai, or whoever it might be, and whoever they're shitting on. So it was almost like I loved the music, but then I loved the band just as much as I loved the music.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, Jim, you're up, and hopefully you have some
I have a
magazines and
very,
shit to
very
show.
similar story. Incidentally, so I was dating. I was like 18. I was dating like this hipster chick in Australia. Hipster chick in Australia means she wasn't wearing shoes, and
Very look there, yeah.
and so she was really into like all the new music, whatever. And I'd heard of Oasis. And same as Steve said, I like the Beatles and that sort of stuff. And I thought they were just sort of like piss takes of the Beatles. And so I was reluctant to get into them. And she kept on playing the album we're about to talk to. And then the same thing, they actually they had a petition in Australia to bring them out to Australia. And they never came until Be Here Now. And we all know what happened there. There was a scone incident on the plane and all that type of stuff. And I went to that concert in Perth, right? But anyway, then I listened to the first album. I was like, fuck me, they're all hits. And then it's like Master Plan came out with all the B-sides. I was like, their B-sides are better than all the other albums. I was listening to these albums, and I liked every single track. And then it became sort of unfashionable to like the Beatles. And I was like, nah, fuck off. No, Oasis. I fucking love Oasis. Go fuck yourself, man. And then I was in Britain, and I saw them live maybe 10, 12 times when I was living in the UK. I was down to my last 50 pounds in the UK. I moved over there with £1,000 and to set myself up to go do comedy. I was down to $50 and I had no gigs booked or anything. I didn't have a job or anything. And I decided to go see them. They were doing Heathen Chemistry album, and they were doing a warm-up gig at the Hammersmith Apollo before they did the arenas, right? And so I went down, and there was this guy, and he sold me a ticket, and he goes, no, it's 40 quid to get in. The ticket was only $20 because it was a warm-up gig, right? 20 quid. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I love Oasis. I don't have this money. He goes, no, it's 50 quid. I go, how about 40? How about 40? Leave me $10 to buy a fucking drink, man.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, it's 50. It's 50. It's 50. He said, don't worry about it. I chased the guy down the fucking street to give him the money. I chased him down the street to buy a forged ticket. And I fucking get up to the counter, and the hologram doesn't read. I've just got this fucking shitty printout of a fucking ticket. And I went into this bar, and I said, I've been ripped off. And I had I just sat there and ordered a water. And then there was another bloke there who'd been ripped off who bought me a beer. And the guy in the bar actually gave me a job that day to be a bartender. And I got my first job. And he commiserated. And I'll tell you a funny story about that bloke. He was a big Oasis fan as well, and he couldn't get into the concert. And the big joke that this cunt always did, he loved this joke, right? Whenever we were in the bar and we had specials, he'd always go, and the special today is Oasis soup. And then I was like, yes. And he goes, ask me why it's Oasis soup. And I go, why is it Oasis soup? Because you get a roll with it. Right, that was his big fucking gag. Anyway, so I've interviewed Noel. I once interviewed Noel on my TV show, and that was like Comedy Central, like, but no one really listens to Oasis anymore. And I went, that's what I want to do on my TV show is interview Noel Gallagher. It was one of the great meetings of my fucking life. I fucking love the guy.
Well, plus you have that story that you told, because you sang, both of you guys have sang Wonderwall on the goddamn Comedy Jam. Jim, you did it on the TV shows.
Oh, I can't tell that story.
Well, God. Well, no, everybody just go to Comedy Central app if you can figure out how to work that shit and fucking watch the story because it's hilarious. But I always looked at you guys because Jim, there's like the Stone Roses and the Beatles, and I think we all can appreciate the Beatles, but
the Stone Roses have got, because there's no Oasis without the Stone Roses, right?
Yeah.
But right now in the pandemic, you have to check out Ian Brown's Twitter. He's an anti-vaxxer, and he's gone to fucking town, right? Now, and I love Ian Brown. I've got a picture of Ian Brown in my office, and I fucking love Ian Brown. Ian Brown's like, I won't fucking let anyone come to a concert if they have to be vaccinated. People just come and hear me fucking sing. Now, in Britain, there's a holiday camp called Butlins, and Butlins is like you're on a cruise ship, but you're still on the land, right? You take your whole family there for like a summer camp, and then you go up and you see the entertainment. They might do a Disney show one day and all this type of stuff, right? And Ian Brown tweeted the other day, he goes, I won't sing in front of anybody who needs to have a vaccine, like that, right? And then someone tweeted underneath, isn't that up to Butlins? So but I always liked that sort of whole, because I lived in Manchester before Oasis and the Stone Roses. People were just listening to shit. They were just listening to dance music and popping pills at the Hacienda. And the Hacienda now is where the Comedy Store is, and there's a bunch of apartments. But the whole rave culture in Britain all started from Manchester, and to have guitar music actually beat that out, it was a real fucking movement, man.
Yeah, well, so what's the obsession then? Because I've always looked at Oasis. Listen, I love Oasis. I had my Britpop obsession, but the two of you, like when this album was coming up, both of you were like, I got dibs on this, and I was like, and you're two of my favorite people in the world, and I was like, well, fuck it, I would feel bad if I have one on because you both love this band. So
I have dibs on Be Here Now when it comes in at number one.
It's
greatest album. If you listen to Be Here Now, I call it my cocaine album, right? Everything's overproduced and long, and it just sounding like there's an airplane that's coming into land for like a minute and a half. Yeah. And then like all around the world lasts 8.5 minutes because it had to be the same length as Hey Jude. And there's a lot of fucking shit on that album, but I still fucking love that album, man.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean is one of my favorite Oasis songs. I fucking love that song. I don't care what anybody says. I know the story behind the record. I haven't listened to the full record in a shit long time, but dude, that shit rips. This album is
on drugs and have a listen, man. You can't do it sober, that one.
Well, Josh, let me play you this. This is when I fell in love with Noel. Okay. Like I remember hearing this. They go. Oh, you've been nominated for all this stuff, and are you happy? And this is like the video where I was like, oh my god. Hold on. Wait. I gotta bring it up here. Hold on.
What, you ask me if I'm happy? Listen, I've got £87 million in the bank. I've got a Rolls Royce. I've got 3 stalkers. I'm about to go on the board at Manchester City. I'm part of the greatest band in the world. Am I happy with that? No, I'm not. I want more!
And it's like, I play that for people all the time. They're like, why do you still listen to them all the time? I'm like, because of this. It was always like hysterical. This brash attitude and optimism, and just it was a great set of tunes to place within the foundation of your 20s to spring you forward through life, because it told you could do anything. And we were listening to Nirvana, we were listening to Pearl Jam and these grunge bands that didn't want fame. And then these guys come along like, I want it all. And it's like, yeah, who doesn't? Who doesn't dream of better days?
Yeah, yeah. So
When I interviewed Noel, the one thing they said to me was, "Don't ask him about his brother."
yeah.
So that was the one note. And I had to talk about his new album and all that type of stuff, right? And then we had a great interview, and at the end of the interview, I went, look, one more question. I'd hate myself if I didn't ask this question, but as a big Oasis fan, I need to know. And he just sat back and went,
Yeah.
he was about to fucking hit me, and I went, I need to ask. And he goes, yes. I went, do you like me? And he goes, yeah, you're all right. You're all right. Yeah, you're fucking drinking and all that type of stuff and swearing and all that. And I go, will we ever hang out? And he went, no.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Well, it's funny
My favorite Noel quote is this one. You'll know this one, Steve.
Yeah.
When he's explaining his brother, and he goes, Liam is like a man living in a world of soup, and he's holding a fork.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the press, they always made it seem like Noel was the ambassador, right, the cool one, and Liam was the whack job. And slowly it rolls out over the last few years that Liam's actually kind of grounded, and Noel's kind of a little bitchy. And I was going to see them in Vegas. As I'm going to Vegas to go watch Oasis gets on the plane. And we get off the plane, and I walk over to Noel, and I'm with my girlfriend at the time. I go, Noel, I flew from New York to see you. Can I just get a picture? And he was sitting there waiting for his bags, and he had his sunglasses on. He goes, let's get it over with. So he stood up, and I got a picture with him. And I go over to get my bags, and Liam was waiting for his bags, talking to one of the roadies. I go, Liam, I came from New York. Can I get a picture? He goes, yeah. We get a picture. He goes, so what you doing? Where are you coming from, New York? I go, but he asked me what I do for a living. I go, I'm a stand-up comedian. He spent the next 10 minutes asking me what it's like to be a stand-up comedian. He loves New York. He's always wanted to see a stand-up show in New York and all this, just on and on and on. And then his handlers pulled him away. I was like, wow, it was the complete opposite of what I've been told in all these goddamn magazines. And it was really cool to have, met two people I really respect and idolize, even all these years later.
You know what's funny is, like, I always kind of looked at Oasis as like a Beatles ripoff. This is when it first dropped. I was like, this is
there's a lot of indications that they are.
Yeah, he said it. He basically said it's like, Beatles is our favorite band. They're in a sense taking their formula, and I always kind of like, I like Wonderwall. Yeah, I like Don't Look Back in Anger, but it wasn't until they performed on I'm pretty sure it was the VMAs, and they did Champagne Supernova. And Liam, we're gonna play that clip towards the end. In the middle, right at the end of the song, he's like, "And we don't need that because you're something for the summer," and then he spits.
Yeah.
On MTV. I was like, that's the most badass shit I have ever seen in my life.
I always liked that Liam would leave the stage the second he finished his part of the song.
Yeah.
Right? If he's singing and last bit of lyrics, he doesn't wait for dun 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 dun. He's off. He's fucking gone off to the side. Yeah, the show's over. Yeah.
So I was like, I just got one more thing that I had seen recently, Josh, and Jim. I'm sure you know this one too, but the guy from Blink-182, I think Tom, they were doing this Warped Tour, and Blink-182 is performing, and Oasis comes to the States. They're performing, and and they're all backstage, and the door kicks open, and Liam Gallagher walks in, and Blink-182, they're partying. He goes, Blink-182, and they go, yeah, you're Oasis. He goes, yeah, look, you guys, since I've been in America, you're the best I've seen. And they go, oh, thanks, man. You like us? He goes, I didn't say that. And he walks out.
I'm sure you've heard the Maroon 5 story, right?
But no,
Noel told this in the interview. Okay. So they're up in the Hollywood Hills, and this is when they were playing like they weren't that big in America, right? They were still playing moderate-sized rooms. So they're in the Hollywood Hills having a party, and they meet this guy who comes up to Noel and goes, Noel, you're the reason I got into music. I just fucking love you. You're my favorite guitarist, whatever. And he's like, oh, fucking thank you, Mom. Thank you. That's really sweet. Yeah, really, really nice here. And he goes, I'm in a band as well. And he goes, oh, yeah, what's your band? And he goes, Maroon 5. He goes, you're fucking shit. Your fucking band. Your fucking band is shit. Like this, right? Anyway, cut to about 3 hours later, he's still drinking at the party, doing cocaine and all that type of stuff, right? He's lined up to go to the toilet, and that bloke's there, and he goes, "Why the fuck are you still here? You're fucking," he goes, "You're fucking shit." And then the guy goes, "It's my house."
Oh my God,
That's a
I
fucking nice
love that.
money you got here, man. It's a fucking nice house. You done well for yourself.
Yeah, good old
That's
Dub.
so funny.
Dude, you do such a good fucking impersonation of them, man. It is so. I know you do. Like you said, you did 2 impersonations. Well, actually, a long time ago, you said you only did 1, which was Homer Simpson. But dude, you
I
fucking.
do Homer Simpson and Cliff Clavin because they're the same.
Oh, 100%.
But I lived in Manchester for a long time. Well, Cliff Clavin, "Ooh, look sweet. Hey, the postal service is the same thing. Yeah, I tell you what, they know me. It's the same voice."
So,
But
because I've always noticed that most of the people that love that really, I'm not gonna say just really like, but it's like there's no in between with Oasis. It's like either you don't like
I've
them
got
at
into
all,
fights.
or you fucking love them. So why? Why are you guys like? What's the main? Is it this record? Is it just the volatility of their careers? Is it the rivalries? Like why?
I think it's the first 2 albums are the real things that solidify it for you. Where those 2 albums are just every track I can listen to everyone. I don't skip over a single track when I listen to it every single time. And Master Plan's the same way, where you got going, how the fuck are these things B-sides? You know, and then every other album past that, you start going, there's 3 tracks on each album that could have been on any one of the albums, where you go, that one's still gold and that one's still good. And it's, you know, I also like the drama of it as well, that there's 2 brothers that you can tell they love each other, but they fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
So they write songs where we will need each other, we believe in each other, and it's like, and then they don't talk on fucking tours and stuff like that. And I have brothers that I love who are fucking pain in the asses, both of them, you brothers, but I fucking love them. You know, I relate to it in some way.
Yeah, I think you enjoy the soap opera of it all. But I think especially when I was younger and I was a comic in New York City and I was starting off, it's like, oh, I should talk shit on people too. You know, you have some confidence in yourself. And I remember I talked shit. I was doing it's just when websites start coming along and Cringe Humor came out. And Patrick obviously owns The Stand now. But he did this website called Cringe Humor that was all about the stand-up scene in New York City. And I went on it and he was asking me about stuff. And like Comedy Central was all into like Dimitri and Birbiglia, and I equated them to being like Radiohead. And I'm like, I'm fucking Oasis. I'm like a man of the streets. And so we're doing this, and I'm talking shit on Dimitri, and we're friends. And I'm slagging him, and and then it comes out, and like 2 weeks later, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, why'd you talk shit about me? I thought we're friends." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably bad." And so I just realized real quick, I don't have that capacity in myself to talk shit on people and stand by it. And I also didn't have the hits. I think if you can have the hits, if you have the success, if you have this global success, and your tunes are almost undeniable. Yeah, I think you've earned the right to talk a little shit on people, but I didn't have any of that. So I learned pretty quick that works for a very specific kind of human being. Because I know even in reading interviews, Brandon Flowers, I think he was influenced by Oasis in early interviews because he talked a lot of shit on people. And he said the last few years he's had to make amends and call people and apologize. Now, I don't know specifically, but in just interviews I've read, that seems to be the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, I think, well, Morty, you're going to tell us about this story and the rivalries that they had. So Morty, why don't you go and fill us in and catch us up to this record? Okay.
All right. So let's start with this record. Okay. So released on October 2nd of 1995 on Creation Records and produced by Owen Morris and Noel Gallagher. This is the second album by the Manchester, England Britpop rock band. I just want to give a quick shout out. February 29th, another great Mancunian passed away in February in 2012. Davy Jones from the Monkees, probably one of the first Manchester guys that I ever knew from pop music. So now just to put Manchester, as Jim said, into context, in the late 80s, you know, Joy Division became New Order, Smiths are there, The Fall. Then there's a musical and cultural scene that's called Madchester. And that merges 60s psychedelic rock and roll with, you know, the acid house music of the time. Right. Yeah. They're all off their tits on ecstasy, and they're listening to local.
They have a weird thing in the north called Northern Funk, where white northern people in the north of England like disco. right?
Yeah.
And they're just it's nowhere else in England, but in Manchester and Liverpool, there's like old people like, fucking get dressed for the disco. Anyway,
And it's dope. So they're on that. That was a lot of the basis of the
Northern
music that's
Soul.
out there.
Northern
The
Soul.
bands,
It's called Northern Soul.
yeah, Northern Soul. They went back to 60s and stuff that a lot of Americans even missed. Once again, it's the same Liverpool thing where they got all the records that people weren't getting because of the Sailors. So we have the bands, local bands like Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, James, and Spiral Carpets. They're the kind of bands that are local heroes. So around that time, Paul Guigsy McGuigan starts a band called Therein with Paul Bonehead Arthurs on guitar, Tony McCarroll on drums, and a vocalist they soon fire and they replace with Guigsy's school friend, Liam Gallagher, who suggests they change their name to Oasis. Now, Liam's older brother, Noel, is a roadie for In Spiral Carpets. He comes with the band to see Oasis's first show in 91. They're not great, but Noel sees that they have, he has a bunch of songs he's written on the road, and he sees a band he can basically take over as a songwriter and the guitarist. So joins the band. They play, they build a following. They get signed to Alan McGee's Creation labels in 93. They put out several popular singles. Then their debut album, Definitely Maybe, comes out. It's number one a week after its release at the time. It becomes the fastest selling debut album in the UK. Huge.
Really?
They do fastest one. That's when I heard about it.
You guys are gonna hate me because I the only song I really know off of that record is "Live Forever." Is that?
Oh my God!
You don't know Supersonic or Cigarettes and Alcohol?
Rock and Roll Star. He tells you right
and
there.
Roll
He
Star.
literally
I know
says
that one. No, I know that one.
Yeah,
I know that
he
one.
literally
balls that
says, "I'm going to be a rock and roll star."
The balls to come out with their first track is Rock and Roll Star.
Yeah.
If you're not down with Who I Am, like, get the fuck out of there. That should have been the first track on the second album.
Yeah.
Not the first album.
Yeah. So they come out with this album. And by the way, when they first came out, like you guys, I was like, they sound like the Beatles. And I was like, well, if you're going to rip off the Beatles, don't rip off John's melodies and Paul's lyrics. And that's how I sort of looked at Oasis. I was like, like that's probably not the right combination. So anyway, they play a bunch, years of constant touring, lots of drugs, partying, band fights, temporary breakups, mostly between Liam and Noel. They're back in the studio to make their second album. So they record one single, they fire Tony McCarroll, they replace him with Alan White. And then he decides, Noel's like, I want to make a darker record. I want to make something with anthems. I want this to be huge, everything. So according to Owen Morris, check out this. In 15 days, they record this record. The first 5 consecutive days, a song a day. Here's their first 5 days for this record. Roll With It, Hello, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova. They take 2 days off, come back and record the rest of the record in consecutive days.
Damn.
That's a 15 days of recording. So it's about the same time. At the same time, there's this other huge cultural musical scene called Britpop. It's all starting up, and Oasis isn't really part of this, but because of their popularity, they kind of get grabbed into it.
How are they not Britpop? Like,
they're not Britpop because they come from a
British
different.
and they're popular.
Because there's a, at the time there's different layers. You'll see. I'll explain it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But they basically get into it with Blur. But this is what the press concocts a lot of this, like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. It's a lot of bullshit, but they kind of run with it. So here we go. This record comes out. It gets lukewarm critical acclaim. They think it's a letdown after Definitely Maybe. It still sold 347,000 copies in its first week. It didn't leave the top 3 for 7 months. And until Adele's 21 came out, it had the highest number of platinum certificates for a single record at 14. So It's huge. Noel's anthemic aspirations pay off. They become a stadium arena band, but they have, near constant controversy, plagiarism lawsuits, quarrels, flagrant substance abuse, everything. They go on, they put out another 5 albums. They do a tour for each album, a few lineup changes. Then in 2009, Liam claims he has laryngitis, so they're going to cancel the festival show. Noel goes to the press and goes, nah, he doesn't. He's hungover. Liam gets pissed. He sues Noel. They basically settle out of court. This is brothers, by the way, in the same band.
Yeah.
They settle out of court, but Noel's pissed. He quits the band. So the rest of the band with Liam go on and they become basically BDI. That's Oasis without Noel.
They have a
They
couple
carry
good
on as
tracks.
BDI.
BDI is
Yeah,
the opener of
absolutely.
their first record. I fucking forget what that shit is called, but that shit slaps, dude.
A 4-letter word or something. It's called.
Yeah.
Hold-
There was
It
yeah.
sounds like a James Bond song. That first song.
Yeah.
It's like it fucking rocks, dude.
So
I'll find out.
both brothers carry on. You know, they put out side projects, but they haven't played together since 2009, since that time. So the demand, by the way, the demand for the new music for them is so huge still. They just, in April of last year, 2020, they rediscovered a sound check demo of like one song. First song they released in 10 years. Like a day later, a couple days later, it hits 1 million views on YouTube. So that's how wanted Oasis still is. So
And it was
they've
a shit
still
track.
remained.
It was,
Yeah, but it's
that one that Noel just sort of went.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
it's the only thing it's the only game in town. They've still hugely influential. Sorry, go on.
At their peak, around this time, around this album, at their peak, there was an audio recording of the two of them having an argument, and it got into the top 10.
I'll get to that. I'll give you the exact. I'll tell you. There you go.
You
Withering
have
rivalry.
it. You
Yeah.
have it.
With the Cray, it's the Cray brothers on the cover, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
JT,
I think,
can you find that
the
track?
twins, mate. The twins.
JT,
Twins.
find that track because I've never heard that and I have to hear that. The song,
Yeah, and I'll give you
the,
some.
It's great.
The Cray brothers. When I was living in London, the Cray brothers, there's a pub where one of the Crays shot somebody, and that pub would have to seat 5,000 people for all the people that I've met who said that they were there to actually see the Cray brothers. Everyone allegedly was in this pub, but I had a real Cockney comedian friend, and it was like a thing. We walked out of the comedy store. It was raining, and he goes, "Oh, this wouldn't happen if the twins were still around." Like they kept law and order. They did.
All right.
So basically, to end this up, they've still remained hugely influential. They've sold 75 million records. This record alone has sold 22 million records.
Wow.
So that's where we are. So that's caught us up to where we are now.
No, this is here's my deal with Oasis. Because like somebody mentioned earlier, as the albums came out after this, they were not nearly as good. And like you said, if they would have just done these two records and then broken up, I think they would be put on the same pedestal as the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Radiohead. I do. I just they're like
I like the other albums, man. I like them.
I like the one.
It did become unfashionable to be an Oasis fan for a while.
Yes.
People were just it became unfashionable. But the fucking songs don't lie, man. They're great. They're great. They're great songs.
Yeah.
Like Jim said, though, like you would listen to Morning Glory, right? But here's the thing: you'd be a rabid fan.
Steve.
I'd go.
So many
I'm the
props.
carrot top of Oasis today, but I would go to Virgin Megastore and you get your roll with it, right? And then all of a sudden you hear It's Better People, Rockin' Chair, and you go to get Some Might Say, It's Talk Tonight, Acquiesce, which Jim mentioned before, Head Shrinker. You go to Wonderwall. You got Round Our Way, Swamp Song. The Master Plan is the B-side to Wonderwall. This is crazy. And then Don't Look Back in Anger. You got Come On, Feel the Noise, Step Out, and Underneath the Sky. And all these songs came to make The Master Plan, that B-side track album. And in interviews I've read about Noel's like, all his friends were like, why don't you save this for like the next that if these tracks, if The Master Plan came out and was their third album instead of Be Here Now, I think they would have sustained some longevity, because these tunes on that Master Plan, I think, are as good as anything you hear on Morning Glory, because I love Master Plan. It's one of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys fuck with their solo projects? Do you guys fuck with BDI? And then
I buy all of it.
yeah.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, I buy all of it.
Is it and be honest, is it just as good, or
Me-
is it
me
you
and
just
St- me and
holding on to
Steve-
that Oasis love?
Me and Steve have a very thin relationship, right? Steve texts me about once every 3 months, like, there's a new song. And I go, I'm on it. We don't talk about anything else.
It's funny because I've rarely hung out with Jim, but it's once I found out he was an Oasis fan, I was like, oh, I want to hang out more. And then we're at the jam, we're hanging out. And unfortunately, I couldn't just indulge. And Josh, you know how I like to. I appreciate indulging in the spirits.
Oh
And,
yeah, dude.
It's been the one thing where the last time we hung out, it's like, yeah, you gotta hit me up. We'll get some drinks, listen to tunes. I'm like, yeah. And then I moved to Nashville, and I'm like, damn it, even in talking now, I'm like, it makes me want to just get in the car and go, where are you? I'll bring over all my stuff. We'll do it on a CD player. I'll bring over some Jameson and rip it up. Yeah.
Oh God, dude, that is so funny. That is so fucking funny because I thought you guys were like just best mates because Steve, when I posted the show that I was going to be doing,
I only found out he had a wife and kids the last time I met him. We've spoken. I know we Oasis chat. Oasis chat sounds like a right wing fucking platform.
It's the new part.
When they all got kicked off Twitter, they go to Oasis.
We got to protect the statue.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. All right, let's dive into the record because, like you guys said, man, this is a legendary record and this is damn near perfect. So it opens with "Hello." JT, play the opening or play the best part, in my opinion. Yeah, I think this is a great opener. I think this kind of gives you a little bit of like idea of the way the album is going to go. I think
for many years they sang this song when they started the concerts.
Yeah,
they would start the concert with "Hello."
They did open with this. Oh wow, I've never seen them live, and that's one of the things that like.
And it sounds like a song that's a perfect bridge to go from Definitely Maybe to Morning Glory. You know, it still has that. It's still like a real rockin' song, and you could see that on Definitely Maybe. I think if you go back and listen to Definitely Maybe all the way through, it's a nice bridge to get into this.
I also think it's a nice bridge into Roll With It. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it sets up. I think, first of all, the intro is a bunch of noises, then the song kicks in, and then almost as this fades out, it goes right into that guitar riff from Roll With It. Morty, go ahead and tell us a little bit about Roll With It.
Okay. So this is the interesting part. This is where the Britpop thing comes out. In August of 95.
This is the big competition, wasn't it?
Yeah. August of 95, they have this Britpop chart battle, okay? Turns out Blur is going to put out their first single. Oasis is going to put out their first single. And the British press goes crazy and the public eats it up. So for those that don't know, Oasis is from the North. So that's considered working class. That's a kind of like working class. Then Blur is from the South. That's considered middle class. So they have not only like band struggle and pop struggle, now it's like an actual class struggle. You know, you have these people fighting. So they go up against it. Who's going to put it out? People are taking bets. It's that big. Blur wins with Country House. But Oasis goes on, has bigger success in the US because Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger, everything else that comes out. About this song, Noel basically slags it. He goes, it's a typical Oasis song. Shut up moaning and fucking get on with it. It's the same sentiment as in nearly every other song I do.
Yeah,
you know, not a really deep. Yeah.
Roll With It's not as good as Blues Country House. Country House is a pretty fucking good song, man.
Yeah. It's like the Kinks.
Roll With It is a weaker Oasis song. But I love how you just said that thing. You've just brought into the whole British fucking class system. They go, the people in the North are working class and the people in the South are middle class. Where's your fucking upper class, England? Where's your upper class? You're so humble that you're going to go, oh, I'm just middle class. No, you're fucking stinking fucking rich cunt. Stop saying you're middle class. You're upper class. I've never met one British person who says, oh, I'm upper class. No. They're always poor or middle. No one's above the middle.
Why did Blur and Oasis have such beef? Was it just they were both rising bands? I just remember the
public made that beef happen. They actually get along fairly well. And then, like, obviously Noel in interviews would slag their albums off and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, I think they get along now very well.
Yeah, Noel's cut
I think Alex
with Damon Albarn I think he's done 2 songs with Damon Albarn. But I think they kind of got into it too. Because I remember Noel said about the guitarist, I hope he catches AIDS and dies.
Yeah.
It's like that was... Have you met that cunt? No. Not Richard Ashcroft. What's his name? I bought some of his albums.
Which one?
Ones. No, not Richard Ashcroft. He's the Verve. Who's the guitarist from Blur?
Damon Albarn?
From which album?
Damon's the lead singer. The guitarist from the from Blur.
Oh, Graham Coxon.
Graham Coxon, that's Graham Coxon, yeah.
Anyway,
Alex
we hope
James,
he gets AIDS. If you're listening, Graham, how's that going for you?
Alex James is the one. The bass player is the one they had is the one that they had sort of beef with too. But you know, I mean, it's the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. You know how many records they sold with people buying records just to kind of say I like them more than the other band. You know, I don't care if you buy them to burn them, just buy them.
Yeah.
But even the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, that was a weird thing because they said that the Rolling Stones were like the sex and the drugs and all that type of stuff. And because the Beatles were wearing suits and the Rolling Stones were posh kids. They grew up in a very wealthy part of the South. The Beatles were the working class band, but they put them in suits and they made them look fancy. And then the narrative that was put into society was that they were stuffy and the Rolling Stones were rock and roll, which wasn't the case at all.
I want to ask you guys a question because we're talking about rivalries, and both of you guys have been doing stand-up for what, 20 years at least.
I hate Dimitri Martin.
Okay, that was yours. That was yours. Dude, have you had
too much?
No, a lot of people have rivalries with me, but I don't have one with them. I'm just too good.
It's so great, dude. That is so fucking great. All right, let's get on to the fucking hit then. Let's get on to the one which is arguably one of the most recognizable guitar riffs and fucking opening lines ever. JT
Buskers everywhere made money. It only got to number 2. It's a little known fact. It only got to number 2 in Britain.
Wait, Wonderwall?
Wonderwall. It's the most famous number 2 of all time. I can't even tell you which was number 1. There was probably some dance track. I was like, I'm sure Morty has more
can you find that out for us?
I'll find it. I'll tell you in a second.
All right, here, play the intro for us.
Right, do we need to play this? I think everyone knows it, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear it, Jim. I'm sorry.
How have you gotten this far into the podcast and you don't know fucking Wonderwall? Someone's going, I'll just tune in. Maybe I'll learn something.
I just want to play it because it's such a fucking iconic thing, dude. Everything about that opening is just, it's fantastic. I love when the beat kicks in. I love the fan brushes. I love. But
you also
lyrics.
have to remember, it came out when people watched MTV still, and that video was pretty great. It was such a trippy black and white, great visuals, kind of mod visuals with Liam in a barber's chair, and this spiral spinning wheel behind him. It looked great. It looked cool. They looked cool, and Noel had his green guitar. That was the only thing in color in the whole video. I don't know. I think it was a perfect marriage of one of those few times where the video was aesthetically as pleasing as the sound of the song.
So were you
also let's not forget that this, for many people, were their first sight of Oasis. They'd heard the songs.
Yeah.
The other videos sucked, right?
Yeah.
Supersonic was a terrible video. Live Forever was a weird,
horrible. Yeah.
But when you watch that video, look, I haven't been a teenage girl for the longest time, but Liam's very, very fucking good looking.
Yeah,
he's really good looking, and you don't know it. It's like that Elvis thing. People had heard Elvis's voice, and then they saw the videos, and they were like, "Oh, I thought he was a black guy, but fuck me, he's stunning."
Yeah,
right. Not that black people are good looking. I'm talking about because of his voice. I'm going to stop talking. Anyway, but with Liam, it's like he is a fucking good looking boy, man. It's like people forget that it wasn't just the voice. He was a real front man. To be a front man. I don't think any time in music history has this ever happened. A person is that captivating and they don't fucking move. They don't move. He just stands there with his hands behind his back, with his head tilted up singing, doesn't move, and he is captivating.
Yeah.
You can't take your eyes off him, and he's doing nothing. And that's a really rare quality.
And he's got a thick unibrow.
I love the monobrow. You say unibrow, I say mono, meaning one. You say uni as in join. No, I'm a bit more racist about the brows.
So, by the way, the number 1 song, everybody get ready to sing this at a pub. It's I Believe by Robson and Jerome. Because, as one does, they get drunk and sing this at all their big football games.
What is I Believe by Robson and Jerome?
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
I think Robson and Jerome, if I'm not correct, there used to be a TV show called Heartbeat, which had a couple of actors, which Simon Cowell gave Unchained Melody to, and a couple of other pop songs because all the housewives bought it. I think Robson and Jerome were 2 actors on this TV show.
Yeah, it was about the right time.
Here it is. Here, I found it. Hold on.
That sounds like Unchained Melody.
Oh my God.
The fuck is this shit?
I'll tell you this.
Number one. It's number 1, Josh. That's what it is. It's number 1.
Wait, does it have a hook that's better? Wait, look at these guys.
Sounds like
too.
Jerry and the
Look at these guys
Pacemakers.
too. Can you see them?
Yeah,
that's fucking hand jobs.
That's like when Shakespeare in Love beat fucking Pulp Fiction at the Oscars.
Yes,
That's all you need to
yeah.
fucking know.
Yeah, dude. This
That's awful.
By the way,
More
it actually
important-
Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan. Forrest Gump beat Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, dude.
So-
One of the greatest war movies of all time. Yeah, I never heard of Robson and Jerome, and that song sounds like fucking dick, so they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, there are a couple of actors who Simon Cowell used to feed songs to.
They look like they fuck each other. I mean, look at these guys.
They did. That was their third single. Wasn't as popular.
We look like we fuck each other. But in my butt, put it in my butt. More, do you got any facts or anything about this song?
Sure, let's talk about this one. This is the fourth single from the record. It's inspired, if those of you know your Beatles lore, George Harrison did a soundtrack to a movie called Wonderwall. So the record was called Wonderwall Music. They just took the title because it sounded interesting. Prior to that, the name was actually Wishing Stone. That was the demo name of this song. You're my wishing stone.
That one
Probably still would have been huge, right?
Yeah,
In
I don't think so,
96,
dude. I mean, would you guys be all fucking boner fide for this song if it was called Wishing Stone?
I heard it was supposed to be called Robson and Jerome, but then he changed it to Wishing Stone, then Wonderwall. So
You're my Robson and Jerome.
Next time you guys do that live. In 96, actually, Noel said he wrote this about his future wife, Meg Matthews. Then in 2001, he got divorced and he's like, no, I didn't. You just got to say that.
great.
I get laid,
You
dude.
You cannot. By the way, if you guys, any newer, younger people are like, I think Green Day, it sounds like Boulevard of Broken Dreams. You know, that big Green Day song?
Yeah.
So basically, Noel said the same thing. He's like, this is him talking to Green Day. He's like, they should have the decency to wait until I'm dead before stealing my shit. I at least pay the people I steal from as a courtesy.
Wow.
But I
So
do know
that's-
this. I do know when they did this single cover, okay,
Show and tell,
Noel
Steve.
showed up late to it, and they were going to hold this frame up, and Liam was supposed to stand in the picture frame. And Noel showed up, I guess hungover. He said, you're not putting the lead singer on the cover. Put a pretty girl in there. So they got a girl. I guess they got a girl last minute, and she's the one that ended up being on the cover of the single.
Wow.
How much shit do you have laying around right now for show and tell, dude? You are incredible, Steve.
This is just in his Nashville house. You don't want to see what his LA house looks like.
Right.
He's got,
I got
cutouts
Oasis
of
stuff
both
all
of them.
over. But if you want to bridge into the next one, that's Don't Look Back in Anger single. And they
Love it.
did this in homage. So they put flowers all over the instruments. And it's an homage to an old Ringo Starr story where Ringo felt he wasn't being appreciated in the Beatles. And they said, come back to the studio, And they had some flowers all around there. So then Oasis paid tribute to that story by doing that and putting all the carnations around the instruments for the band.
So I think you guys probably agree with me. This song transcends race, color, and creed. I mean, everybody knows this song. It's arguably, I mean, if not the most important song of the 90s. I don't think anything that blows my mind. This only came in at number 2. And both of you guys have sang this multiple times on the goddamn Comedy Jam. So I want to ask you guys, why is this song so important to y'all?
It's not even. It's about my 50 favorite Oasis song. Really, I'm not even that into it. It's just an easy sing. That's why.
Okay.
but I think like I don't know why it resonates with so many people. I think because it sort of means nothing. You can interpret your own life into it very easily. We're saying you're my wonder wall, and all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. And you can sort of like say, yeah, that's sort of like my life, but it really means nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
All
know.
lyrics and John
I think
Mellencamp.
it's just one of those songs. The minute you hear it, especially in a pub, I mean, you go back to in time where you're a pub in the 90s, and even now sometimes I'll just hijack these new touch-tone jukeboxes and I'll drop a 20 in there and I'll just jam Oasis. And that's the song that comes on, and people just start singing it. It's complete strangers. For a while, it's kind of like a Don't Stop Believin' for a new generation, I think.
No, completely. Oh, completely. Yeah, it's definitely a few beers deep, and you just like you grab your buddy, you put your arm around him. It creates a mood. It's.
I think the best versions of the song is Noel just singing it acoustically in concert. I think it's much better than the electric guitar.
Really.
By the way, if you want to hear one funny thing, in '96,
I would like 2 funny things, please.
Okay, I'll right after. It's not going to be eyebrows. So 96, Radiohead is doing a Canadian radio show, and they just do a piss take cover of it for like a minute. But if you find it, it's on the internet. I don't know if you guys want to play it now, but he really makes fun of like their, to die is gonna be the die, but it's Tom York, which is kind of cool in 96 because they're not Oasis. I mean, Radiohead hasn't like
blown up.
as
They haven't done
huge
OK Computer yet.
as they're going to be,
just the
but like
Bends.
they're making fun of this song. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see fucking Tom York doing that shit. I love him, but he seems like he's just a fucking dildo. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
that Noel just said that Radiohead can do no wrong, according to the press and everybody that reviews. I think he said Tom York could shit in a light bulb and they'd give it 8 stars or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, dude. You're not wrong about that. All right, let's move on to Don't Look Back in Anger, because this is, what's funny about this one? I still can remember the exact moment I heard this song for the first time. I was at Express for Men at Lake Forest Mall, and they were playing the fucking music video in the background, dude.
What's Express for Men?
It's like,
Here's your second funny thing.
Wait, Steve, how would you explain Express for
It's
Men?
where you go. It's where you go when
hair?
you shop for figure skating attire for men.
Yes.
Jesus, Josh,
Yeah.
what the fuck,
Dude,
man?
what are you talking about?
In
It's
Australia, we call it stretchy, skin-tight men.
No,
Yeah.
it's like you wearing like, business casual, but cool and somewhat hip. It's mall
Yeah.
clothing. It's mall clothing, and everybody knows what the
Sure.
fuck I mean by mall clothing.
It's
But
mall
I
clothing, yeah.
But I remember like hearing it, and at the time I didn't, because I was kind of over Wonderwall, and then I heard this, and this is the song that made me a fan.
Well, this is the song that made me reluctant to be a fan of Oasis, because I had that girl and she was like, listen to this song. And then the opening is Imagine. And I was like, oh, they're ripping off the Beatles. It's not the fucking... And then it's like, nah, this song's good, man. It's the first song when Noel sings. And every album after that, he sings a song or two.
Yeah.
And I always look out for the Noel tracks. I always go, because I feel like the Noel tracks are the ones that he is most proud of. The other ones are a bit more heavy rock that he doesn't think that he can quite sing. And I think the Noel tracks are the ones that he really thinks he digs this song. When I asked him about this song, there we go, I'm name dropping again to the actual person we're talking about. But he goes, it was about a girl called Sally, and she wouldn't wait, man. She just kept on fucking walking on by. He goes, she just kept on walking by, and I was like, don't worry about it, fucking. And I was like, okay, so it literally means what you're saying.
Yeah. So here's the Lennon thing is on purpose, obviously, Imagine, but also some of the lyrics are nicked from Lennon's diaries. Some of the stuff that he said that he pulled from
Please
this
don't
also.
put your life in the hands of a rock and roll band. Going to start a revolution in my bed.
Yeah, that's a full beat.
That's right from it. Yeah. So if you wanted, so this is the second UK number one they had. This became their second UK number one. And the interesting, you're talking about Noel's songs. What he did is he played Liam, Wonderwall, and this. And he basically said, I'm going to sing one of these and you're going to sing one of these. But he played him Wonderwall first because he wanted to save this for himself. And he knew that once he heard Wonderwall, he would take Wonderwall, then he would have Don't Look Back in Anger for his song. And so that's what happened.
Really?
Have you seen?
Oh, sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
You're going.
To this day, I went to see them. I think it was the Heathen Chemistry tour, and they were performing at the venue. I forget what it's called, but it's right next to where they taped Letterman and Colbert. It's that rock venue right there in the 50s on the west side of New York City. And I was with my girlfriend at the time. And we went, and to this day, of all the concerts I've ever been to, that was the one where I was like, oh my God, like it felt like the roof was going to go off. Noel singing Don't Look Back in Anger. Everybody's got arms around strangers. People are screaming at the top of their lungs. And then they went right from that into My Generation at the encore and said goodnight.
Wow.
And back to back, those songs, I've never seen a place go that fucking bananas over a song, especially Don't Look Back in Anger. To this day, even when I've gone to concerts since, and I've even seen Noel doing solo stuff, he'll put this in the encore, and nothing's come close to that moment in time that I saw it.
Yeah, he still puts it in the encore, and now he finishes with All You Need Is Love, which is a bit more communal a song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Than My Generation. But it's a very like, so after Ariana Grande and the bombing of the concerts, the people in Manchester took this song on as an anthem for people getting over grief or whatever. And the lyrics don't really say that. The only time you can ever see Liam sing it is at that concert where they did for Manchester after the Ariana Grande bombing. And it's very clear that Liam can't sing the chorus because he'd be going to start a revolution from my man. Okay, now I think you know the words. And he's
he does one of those, yeah.
And so he couldn't do that bit. So he's just like, all right, I'm back in.
I think this though is a better song than Wonderwall.
It's a much better song.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Wonderwall is like, it's, I love it. Like I said, it's iconic.
Great film clip for this one as well. This was another good film clip. Just had hot chicks around a pool.
Oh, yeah.
And like fucking Liam just looking through a spyglass for very Beatle-esque type of, in an old English manner type of place.
But here's the thing that really pissed me off. I live in Pasadena. The last like 5 or 6 years I'm in California. I moved to Nashville, and I'm just going down this Oasis rabbit hole. And I'm like, where was that mansion? You know? So I look it up. They filmed it in Pasadena. That mansion was in Pasadena. Yeah. Yeah, you can Google it. And it just went for sale for like $2 or $3 million.
Another thing that's really going to get you, Steve, is Bonehead is Q. You want to go down the rabbit hole really far. Bonehead's Q.
I knew it. He's giving us messages. All right,
he's going to be the 19th president in 3 days. This is going to happen. Bonehead.
They're going to play this at the Inog. Fuck yeah, dude. All right, let's get into Hey Now. In my opinion, this is, you know, I'm not going to be playing as many clips because we don't have as much time, but I honestly feel that this moment might be the best moment on the record. JT, play 59 seconds. Hold on.
This song's a time capsule. Yeah, that song is it's the more trippy one. It's kind of like a Beatles for Sale. You could see it on that album. I really like that song, and I think I agree with you though. It's a pretty underrated song in their library of tracks for sure. Very
underrated. It's very psychedelic.
Yeah.
It's just like you were talking about how songs that you don't skip over. I mean, there's like, I'm going to skip over like Swamp Song and then the other Swamp Song part 2. But it's like, it's funny when you hear these hits and then you listen to the other tracks on this record. I honestly think that the other tracks on this record shine a little bit brighter than the big hits. What do you guys think?
We're about to head into one of my favorite songs, Some Might Say, and that was still a big hit in Britain. And I think, and Noel says that Some Might Say, he says, if you wanted to put like Oasis into 4 minutes, that's the song. He says that's one that represents the band completely.
Do you have anything about this one, Morty, about Some Might Say?
Some might say, yeah, this is their first UK number one. This became their first UK number one. It's a lead single, and they made the video for this with footage from old footage that they had because obviously, shocker, as Steve said, Liam didn't show up to the video shoot. So they cut this one together.
The part of the reason that Some Might Say went to number one was also timing. At that stage, Tony Blair was just about to be voted in as the Prime Minister, and they'd gone through a long history in the UK of the Tories being in charge. And now the Labour Party was about to be in charge, and they were about to, and Oasis was backing that band. And so that song became like the anthem of the election that was happening, of a new era coming in. And the era in Britain they called Cool Britannia, right? Where everyone was cool and you had a handsome, young prime minister and all that stuff. Now, after that, of course, the Iraq War happened, and then he sort of sided with George Bush, and he was a little bit tainted after that. But at that stage, there was a feeling in the UK that anything could happen, and that there was a new dawn coming. And I think this song sort of held all that in.
Let me ask you this,
where everyone,
Jim, because were you in England when this came out?
I was maybe no, not when this came out. I moved over to England 4 years later.
Oh, okay. So, but
I was there for Heathen Chemistry onwards in Britain.
Were the British obsessed with them still at that point, or is it more just tabloid fodder?
When we went to concerts and stuff like that, they were still doing great big sort of open air arena-y type of gigs, the ones that I saw them at, you know. And then, you know, I remember I was in Chicago doing a gig, and the band had broken up and Beady Eye had started, and I went and saw them in Chicago after my gig. They were, you know, headlining at 10 p.m. or something like that. There was about 200 people there, and Beady Eye could still sell out thousands and thousands of tickets, you know. So they were still much bigger in the UK. And the love for them, I feel like people still had, where in America, whenever I came over here, it was still like, oh, yeah, Wonderwall. And you're like, no, have you heard the new bit? You know, I think like Stop Crying Your Heart Out is one of the best ballads they ever did. I think that Hindu Times was an amazing rock and roll song, like a really good sort of trippy bit of rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
So there was still tracks that, but I did remember getting into an argument with a comedian. We were having a car ride, and she was like, "Oh, Oasis suck now," and I was like, "Oh,
Get out.
you know, there's still a couple of songs. There's still, you know," and I fought for them too much. And then the car journey had 3 hours left, and it was very icy from then on in.
Well, I'll tell you. But you were talking about Swamp Song. Swamp Song is a complete ripoff of Spirit in the Sky. If you listen to the guitar chords, it's like beat for beat. You're like, this is total blatant. But some might say epitomizes what makes Noel and definitely maybe great is you get this great guitar lick, and it will go. The end of the song will go for another 2.5 minutes, and you just get in this trance-like state. Like Supersonic is great because it's just that just and some might say it's the same thing. And it was the first time where I heard Noel and Liam kind of going back and forth with the chorus throughout that song, and that to me at that time, before I heard Acquiesce, was my favorite track because it was, again, the melody was hypnotic, but just hearing the two brothers complement one another on that track specifically, I loved.
Do we know?
That's the thing I still miss the most, because when you see them both in concert, they both do Oasis songs now in concert. But hearing them sing together is what I miss the most from Oasis. Because, you know, you can still hear the song. The people playing the guitars, the people playing the drums are still as good musicians as they had in Oasis, and sometimes the same fucking people, you know. Yeah. But to you know, just like things like on Stand By Me, it's just the little harmony that he did over the way it's gonna be. Like that a bit, you know, I miss that. And they always get like a guitarist to sort of do it, but it doesn't quite sound right.
Yeah.
So I'm rambling.
No. It's funny because some might say I honestly think is probably one of the better songs on this record, and it's because and also, of everything you're talking about.
It's a great slogan. Some might say it's like, you know what people are up to. You know what they say. It's a very ambiguous thing that means nothing and everything at the same time.
Well, I feel like all of their songs are like that. I mean, Morty, we were talking prior to the show. It's like they're not. It's almost what you said about Wonderwall. It could be this. It could be that. If you're dealing with struggle in your life, you can identify with the song. Then, if you're in a good mood, it's like everything is nothing. It's just like a bunch of gobbledygook.
Oasis are like going to a fortune teller and believing the reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Yes, dude.
Exactly.
Like, that's me. That is me.
Yeah. There's a level of trite to their lyrics. I mean, it's both incredibly trite and incredibly encompassing. Because it's like, you know, it's like when you're going through a breakup and somebody gives you advice and it's always the same shit. Oh, you'll get over and it reaches everyone because it just sounds right. Like I was saying, the Paul McCartney lyric thing versus the John Melody thing.
Yeah.
Paul's lyrics are incredible because when you break them down, it means shit. I mean, not to be a dick, he's my greatest guy of all time, but listen to Yesterday. It's not the deepest fucking song in the world, but Yesterday is Wonderwall. You know what I mean?
The idea that Paul McCartney put the word maybe in the lyric, maybe I'm amazed.
Yeah, because it rhymes with baby.
like your wife like this, like, maybe I'm amazed. Are you amazed or not, Paul? What's with the maybe?
Well, it's funny about the title, even the title. Sorry, another prop there for you, Josh. Yeah, dude. But What's the Story, Morning Glory? I heard that when they were touring in the States, some girl kept saying, "What's the story, Morning Glory?" to Noel, and he thought everybody in America had said that. So when it came out, people were like, "Why'd you call it What's the Story, Morning Glory?" And he's like, "Oh, don't people in the States say that all the time? They're like, no, nobody says that. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought Morning Glory was like
Fucking?
when you woke up with an erection.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Yeah.
I thought it
You
would
wake up
be
with
more
an erection
fucking.
was your Morning Glory, where you're like, it still works.
I thought it was that in Opium Poppy's Morning Glory. I thought there was that, but also it's the song from Bye Bye Birdie for any of my other musical geeks out
Ooh.
there. It's one of the songs in like it's the 60s and they're calling each other on the phone. What's the story, Morning Glory? It's like shit your mom would say, you know, what's up, succotash, or whatever the fuck they say.
Josh
Like,
lost his
crocodile. Yeah.
Josh, you
My
lost
mother
your
used to
virginity to that
say-
song, didn't you?
To What's the Story, Morning Glory, or
No, to the Bye
my-
Bye Birdie song. Yeah.
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, followed by Hello, Dolly.
My
Dude.
mother used to say in the morning when she woke me up, "Wakey, wakey, hands off Snakey," which was another lyric that
Wow.
they wanted to use. The original
Wow.
album was going to be called "Wakey, wakey, hands off Snakey."
You got a hip mom.
I fucking love that, dude. That is the funniest shit, dude.
Yeah. Mine would just say that to Gary Glitter.
No, he was awake the whole time.
Yeah, 100%
Exactly.
awake. All right, Cast No Shadow. I didn't know the story of this. Morty, go and tell us because it's quite interesting.
Okay, so break this down. So Noel writes us about Richard Ashcroft. We were talking about him earlier. He's a singer in a band called The Verve. He plays it for Richard. Richard starts crying, and according to Noel, he says, you know, he always seemed to me to not be very happy. Did everybody hear that, or was that just me?
I heard it too.
You're like an
Steve's getting something ready. I mean, Steve's got another prop coming up. He's got,
First of all, also, Morty, are you in a patisserie?
I'm at Canner's. That's where I live.
Oh,
I just
okay,
stand
all right, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Meet me
No
here next
problem.
time. We'll get some. Well,
Yeah, I like to play songs and get a cannoli during a
Yeah,
pandemic.
I'm waiting for my Hummintashen because it's Purim. So I'll be here for a minute. So he wrote about. So Noel saw that Richard was always bummed out, and he wrote this lovely song for him. He said he always seemed to me to not be very happy what was going on around him, and almost trying too hard. So the album's producer Owen Morris had just produced the Verve's album Northern Soul.
Great record.
Because Noel,
great fucking record.
Yeah. Noel got Owen to produce the record, and the title track from that album was dedicated to Noel. So it was sort of like a recompense for it.
Dude, The Verve is one of the most underrated bands to come out of the Britpop scene. Like America only knows them as Bittersweet Symphony, and every album that they have done is damn near perfect. Richard Ashcroft's solo shit, a song for the lovers, brand new. I think Brand New World was the album title, but it's like I saw him live at the 930 Club. I remember it was funny because I was dating this girl and I got her listening to his first solo record. Then we broke up, and then she out of nowhere was like, "Hey, I got us tickets to Richard Ashcroft." She's like, "Do you want to go with me?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." We go. The show is incredible. It's just Richard in a fur coat, just acoustic guitar, played everything from the Verve, played all his solo shit. And then we get back home, and I feel so bad about this. I'll always remember this, is that we get to my apartment and she's like, "So can I come in?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I'm just going to go to bed." And she was fully expecting to fuck. And I can't believe, I'm sorry, Kitty Peters. I'm sorry.
Why did you turn down Kitty Peters?
I don't know, man. I just, dude,
I would have sex with her on the name alone, Kitty Peters. She sounds like a fun lass.
No. It's like, dude, it's
wakey.
I really regret it, but I fucking love the Verve.
Pussy Pete, Kitty Peters.
That's an Ian Fleming name.
Yeah,
it's definitely a Bond. Yeah, definitely a Bond character.
That's an Ian Fleming. Here comes Pussy Peters.
Yeah.
So I thoughts on this song, and also thoughts on the Verve. I know you guys were like kind of agreeing with me. Like,
I think that was kind of the fun of Oasis, and reading about them and reading all the magazines is like seeing who they would anoint as cool, like who's in the cool club, and hearing all the stuff about Ashcroft, and then going down and getting urban hymns. And that's another album you could listen from A to Z, every single song, every single track. I mean, The Drugs Don't Work is one of my favorite songs, and it's, he's a total frontman too. He looks like a rock and roll star.
Oh my god!
The drugs don't work. There's that thing of Liam going, "Maybe you need a better fucking dealer."
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
They banned The Drugs Don't Work off radio because it mentioned drugs, but it was about his mother dying of cancer and the drugs no longer working.
Right.
Yeah.
For the song, and
Very
like,
similar
they were
to
like, they banned it off radio because they thought it was like, oh, buy more drugs.
Yeah. I think
There you go.
I completely agree with you, Steve.
I was about to say little known fact, but it's not little known at all. Known fact.
It
Yeah.
always
Large known fact.
it always kind of blew my mind that like just in America the Verve never caught on. It's people only know Bittersweet Symphony and that's it. And it's like A Northern Soul is fucking perfect. Even the record that they came out with
Valium Skies.
yes, a few years
Yeah,
ago.
it's a great one. Yeah,
just incredible.
it's very dense, and their music is it's anthematic, but also I don't know. It kind of sounds more epic. There's a lot more to the sound of the Verve than just
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a more all encompassing kind of sound with them.
Yeah. It's incredible song, incredible band. All right, let's get on to She's Electric. All right.
Just a fun tune. Just a fun tune.
Yeah.
She's Electric. You can have a dance to it when you're drunk. She's Electric.
Is there anything
They always
about
used
this
to put it
movie?
on the comedy clubs after the comedy club ended. And they put it on. Everyone used to have a bit of a bop to it.
Yeah, you guys will actually like this one. So eloquently explained. So see if you follow this. It's about a boy who's got a girlfriend and he used to go out with her sister, that he fancies her mother, doesn't get on with her brother, and as somebody gets her cousin pregnant, everybody thinks it's him because he's a bit of a fucking run cunt, but who wasn't? And that's literally his idea of the story. But here's the best part. Naturally, this one about this fucking run cunt has a chorus that's lifted from a children's program from the 70s called You and Me. So that's what the melody of the chorus is from.
Dude, they steal a lot of shit.
I think they're just honest, Josh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
it's almost like Easter eggs, nowadays in movies where you see something in a Marvel film, you're like, oh, what's that mean? You go back to it. And I think he takes all these licks and sometimes it's just blatant. It's totally blatant. Like he just ripped off the Doors in the very last, I forget the name of the track, but it's literally, nah, 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 nah. He ripped off 5 to 1.
5 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, really? in the last Oasis album, and it's so blatant. But then there's other times where he did like Stairway to Heaven on his second solo album, and I forget the name. The girl, oh God, the girl with I forget the name of the track he did, but it's so blatant. But it was a horrible version of Stairway to Heaven.
Really.
But that's kind of what I like about them is that they're just so blatant and they're kind of honest. Step Out is a B-side that was ripped off of a Stevie Wonder song. And they didn't release it because they would have had to. They already had to pay out, but they would have paid a lot more if it was on the album. Uptight.
I want to ask you guys this because, like, would you guys consider Liam as having a great singing voice? Because I feel like in the chorus in this, which I'm about to play, I feel like this basically takes away any doubt that he can't sing by hitting that high note.
People say he can't sing. Listen to Slide Away, the first album.
Yeah,
he's a fantastic singer.
Well, here, listen to this, and let's talk. I mean, he's hitting a falsetto note, and it sounds fucking dope.
It's not the best voice in the world or whatever, but it's unique, and it's his, and it's it rocks, man. You see it live, the guy knows how to do it, and he sings in tune. He's always in fucking tune. I've seen him so many times in concert. He's always in tune. I've seen him drunk. I've seen him hoarse, like where he's been singing too much or smoking too many tabs or whatever, but he's always in tune. And sometimes he's just yelling. But it's still in tune.
So it sounds like you've seen a bunch of shows of theirs. Like, have there been?
I used to liken me at the top, at the peak of my drug taking when I first started getting sort of popular and all that type of stuff. I likened myself to Oasis in the extent that I would put on a hell of a show, but 1 in 5 of them went tits up. It was either I was hungover from the night before. I was too drunk during the show. I'd taken too many drugs during the thing. The night before was tremendously good, and then I fuck up, You know what I mean? And so I felt like Oasis was like, you bought a ticket, you're going into the fucking raffle, you might win, you might lose, but if you win, it's going to be fucking killer.
I love that.
Yeah, I remember I was in college, and is the Morning Glory tour. And I bought tickets, and I drove to Chicago and found out, oh, the show got canceled. This is like pre-internet, when Liam went back to find a house for him and
Yeah.
that actress wife of his, and I was so pissed. But I knew it was coming because I worked in this record store, and I'd gotten all these bootleg CDs of them chastising audiences, shitting on the audience, telling them we're not a bunch of monkeys, telling them in Vancouver they can fuck off after 3 songs and walking off, and you hear everybody booing. It's just like, I don't know. I'd never seen that rashness before in anybody.
That's my point. Every time I ever fucked up a gig, there was always people on the internet going, so, blah, 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 and it's like, it never happened out of nowhere. Never happened out of fucking, they didn't just walk on and tell everyone to fuck off.
Right, yeah, it happened for a reason.
I was at the gig, I was in university in Perth. I was at the gig, the Be Here Now tour, where they got banned off Cathay Pacific because Liam woke up late and they'd already handed out scones to everyone, right? And he told the air stewardess, I want a fucking scone. Why don't I get a fucking scone? So the news was all like, he was abusive on the plane and all this type of bullshit. And then they went to Rottnest Island and the media all followed him. This little island off the coast of Perth. There's one fucking convenience store in it. They all went in there and the cameras there. And I was seeing them that night, right? And they walk out. And this is the height of their drug taking. They walk. They had overproduced. The backdrop was a phone booth and a big fucking this and a car and a that and all that type of stuff, right? Anyway, he walks out. The crowd goes massive, and he walks up. And he goes, "I wanted a fucking scone." And I was like, "I'm on board, man. I'm fucking on board. This is gonna be great." And it was. It was one of the best concerts ever.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Morning Glory, the third single, right, Morty?
Yep, first song to really get them American airplay. This was the first single that sort of heralded this record. I mean, it wasn't technically a single. It was a third single from the record, but this is the one where, you know, that really started breaking them in America. This came out, I believe this came out like right before Wonderwall or around that time. And so people were sort of primed. This is the first one I remember seeing for this album.
I never saw
there's like
this
a
or
keyhole.
heard it. I don't think I've
There's
ever
like
heard
a
this on the
keyhole
radio.
video. Yeah, there's like a keyhole video, I think, and they're looking through the.
Yeah, they were in this an apartment complex, and there were all crazy things going on in the different apartments, but they were rocking out, and it was a pretty cool little video. But this is a great track, and it came in and came out with some helicopter sounds and weird outros into the end. That beginning is great.
I heard that Noel thought this was the best track. He thought this would be the single when he wrote it. He thought this is the single, and it never really eventuated.
Wow, it's a great track.
Yeah, that was the name of the album, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
100%. All right, then we got Swamp Song 2. It's another instrumental, and then we've come to what might be, my opinion, the best song on the record.
Okay, I don't rate as much, but I'll tell you what I love about Champagne Supernova, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to that stage of me listening to music, I never had a band that wrote anthems in my lifetime. Queen did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Queen wrote songs, big ethic anthems where everyone waved their arms from side to side. All the bands I was listening to in Australia, if I can INXS and Crowded House, they never wrote anthems like this. And this was the first time I heard a band do an epic type of real fucking theatrical piece.
Wait, you don't think Never Tear Us Apart is anthemic?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
it's a fucking.
It's a ballad.
That's a. I mean,
that was a song he wrote about his belt.
Oh God, Jesus! Oh wow!
The video was trippy too. The video, again, I think this is one of the few records where the videos were really, really up to speed and up to par. The visuals in this were great. It was total mod, all 60s, you know. And Liam had the beard, and they had the Lennon glasses, and the blue background, and they had some girls in there, and there's some silhouettes and stuff. And it was just a really trippy kind of video that accompanied a really, like Jim said, an anthematic kind of track. And this was the one I think that it's not as popular as Wonderwall or Don't Look Back in Anger, but you play it and people know it and people love it, and I love it. I love playing this in pubs all the time.
And also, once again with the lyrics, open to interpretation.
Yeah.
They all how many special people change that means something to me, and I'm sure it means something to you, but it really means nothing.
Nothing.
You know what I mean? But to me, it means something. I know a person in my life who was special to me who just fucking changed. You know what I mean? And then, you know, it speaks to me, this song.
This one, like I said, that VMA performance, I see him spit. Now I try to imitate that in moments in the jam. I just think it's the coolest fucking thing in the world. It's when I think of Oasis, I don't think Wonderwall. I think Champagne Supernova. This is the one that I connect with. Morty, what do you got to tell us about this?
I mean, this is the 6th. This is the final single from the album. And just like Swamp Song, I just want to say this. When I got this record first, because I got this, my friend worked at a record store, and nobody really knew Oasis, even from the first album. They never really broke in America. So I got this because Paul Weller from the Jam plays on Swamp Song. He's on harmonica and stuff on Swamp Song, and he's on this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shit. Well, that's like getting like, you know, a gold star from probably one of the greatest British rock and roll guys. So I'm like, well, okay, this passed it. So I'm looking at it and I listen to this, and this is epic. I mean, for those of you who haven't heard it, put it on. It's big and huge. You can't put anything after this on the record. And it's basically it's Noel talking to the punk and the rock bands that, you know, they were supposed to change the world. You remember like Bono spraying rock and roll stops traffic or whatever. This is supposed to change the world and everything. And, you know, Noel's always wanted to be a part of that movement. He believes, the thing that I think most people love about them is he believes the dream that rock and roll can change the world. Mm-hmm. And he's still about cocaine and girls and rock and roll. But he also believes that one great song can do it. People moving their arms, even with stupid lyrics like slowly walking down the hall faster than a cannonball, which, you know, the first time you hear that, you go,
you shut your mouth. That's a lovely lyric.
Yeah, but even he says, when they ask Noel what he means by it, he's like, I don't fucking know. Well, you do it better than I would. I don't fucking know. But are you telling me that you've got 60,000 people singing it? They don't know what it means? It means something different to every one of them. And that's his take on it. And it's absolutely what it means. Nobody knows the end of Hey Jude. It's just a thing that touches you.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're in a stadium going na 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 with 60,000 people,
yeah,
nothing is more important in the world. And rock and roll absolutely changed everything.
Well, it truly is a testament what a guitar and unlimited amounts of cocaine and drugs can produce. I mean, that's really it.
Oh, there it is. If anybody's listening to this in audio, you're missing out on the Steve Byrne slideshow. I'm telling you right now, it is fucking incredible, people. Subscribe to our YouTube, you fuckers.
Yeah.
I feel like this song is it's touching, it's memorable, and after hearing us talk about it and realizing how anthemic this is, the next time we get to do the goddamn comedy jam together, we are closing the jam.
Oh yeah,
with this bucket. I didn't even think about that. Everybody knows the chorus.
Everybody knows this one. Yeah,
everybody knows the chorus. It might not be the best song on the record, but it's damn near my favorite, and it's. You know, when I think of Oasis, this is the song I take with me. It's, you know, more than anything else. You want to do some facts and we'll get you guys out of here?
Are we doing the
facts?
No,
we're going to do Marty's going to do it.
Oh, okay. I can give you
I'll
some
throw them
facts.
at you. You guys enjoy them.
They'd just be about my life, you know, but I can
yeah, exactly.
All right, Morty, hit us.
How many Oasis CDs? Yeah. Steve is like, how many Oasis CDs have you done cocaine off of? He's got 37 of them. Every one of them. Okay, so they were so popular in England, as Steve brought up earlier. In 95, a single was released. You want to hold it up? Because this has got to be a great visual representation. Yeah, Wibbling Rivalry came out. Now, it's just Noel and Liam arguing and swearing at each other during an interview. But that became a single.
Wait, JT, did you find that? Is it where can we get it? Because I've never heard that, and I want to hear a taste of it right now. JT, you with us?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Can you find that? What is it called? Wibbling
Rivalry. And it's literally just about Noel. Noel is of the mindset that, you know, the songs will live forever. We've got to be a great rock and roll band. And Liam at the time got kicked off a ferry going to Scotland because he was acting up along with other members of the band. They got kicked off it because they were drunk and on drugs. And Noel's whole point was, you can't be acting like that. A rock and roll band is essentially what they're coming to see, and we got to blow their tits off when they come see us. And Liam's like, no, rock and roll is the attitude. It's a way of life. And if I want to do the drugs, if I want to get in fistfights, that's rock and roll. And so it's them going back and forth the whole time. And it's pretty fucking funny.
Did you find it, JT? What happened?
You want
to it?
lock, stock.
Okay, so you got 50 miles to the left.
There you go.
Attracted a reputation for being a kind of rock and roll animals. I'm into it, mate. I'm into it, but at the end of the day, then, I'm not, because like he says, some cheeky cunt. If I want to get a clip off me, you know what I mean? And I do. Just clip me now and then, I'm like, what do you for?
I mean, the audio is not great.
No, it's terrible.
It never was. You kind of need a transcript. But halfway through it, they really get into it, and they're just yelling at each other. And the guy is basically, the interviewer he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. It didn't like chart, did it?
Oh yeah,
I hit
top
it.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah.
So wait, they didn't
Yeah,
like
it was-
play it
it
like,
was
all
in the
right, it's on
charts.
BBC Radio 1. It's the new track by the Oasis.
No,
Here we
idiots
go.
like me went out and bought the damn thing, and that's why I charted.
Yeah, well, you bought
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
dude. You
I
bought
did buy everything.
With the internet, it never would have happened. It would have just been a
Yeah.
YouTube clip.
Yeah,
You know,
I believe that.
But back in the day, we had to look out for fucking things, man. If anyone wants to know anything more about Oasis, just go onto fucking Netflix and watch Supersonic. It's a great documentary.
Yeah.
That Steve, that was
That's
how you
everything
and I
need to
connected.
know. And that's them sort of them talking about it in hindsight and apart and to get, you know, it's a very good documentary.
Well, I'll tell you,
They'll get back together.
you know, if you've seen it, you know that Noel Gallagher takes a pot shot at Phil Collins, and in a really humorous way. And recently, I saw a thing where Noel Gallagher was being interviewed by children on YouTube, and this kid asked Noel what his favorite dinosaur is, and he said Phil Collins. Like just off the cuff, I was like, God damn, he's so quick.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very witty.
All right, Morty, what else you got?
Wow. All right. This was named so the Brit Awards, so you know, big ceremony, England. So for the 30th anniversary of the Brit Awards, the best British album of the last 30 years was given to this. Liam goes up, accepts the award, looks at it, throws the award and the microphone into the crowd.
Oh, find that. JT, find that clip right now, dude. I have to fucking see that. That is so perfect.
Yeah. He's a charming fella.
Oh, but also that was part of the downfall with Michael Hutchins as well. It was when Michael Hutchins presented to them at, I think, the Q Awards, and he said something along the lines of a whole bunch of somebody's getting an award from a nobody or something along
Has
that
been
line.
shouldn't be given to awards
has
to
been
Genovese.
shouldn't to something like that. Really upset Michael.
I saw a documentary on Michael Hutchins recently that released, and they said that was something that really bothered him for quite a period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a sensitive
Yeah,
boy.
That's it.
Dude, I'm following the Noel Gallagher fucking tweets. All right, Morty, you got more shit?
That's great. Yeah, I got a couple more. Let's do this. We talked about this earlier for a second, but to hear it in context. So the Oasis versus Blur battle hit its most controversial moment after Noel said he hoped Blur's Damon Albarn, who's the singer, and Alex Dame, who's the bass player, would catch AIDS and die. He downgraded it and he said that he hoped they'd catch a bad cold. So he made up for it.
That's not too bad.
Well, that's pretty good because a cold these days can kill you. Well,
Yeah.
AIDS, you live forever. So,
Yeah,
you know,
you and I are gonna live forever.
I think Magic Johnson will die of a cold before HIV.
No,
I'll tell you that
100%,
much.
dude. All right, let's do some rapid fire questions.
right.
This has been great, guys. This has been phenomenal. All right, this is for both of you guys. So just whoever wants to go first when I ask it. Favorite song on the record?
Some might say.
Some might say, yeah.
Wow, both of you. All right, least favorite song on the record?
Swamp Song.
Morning Glory for me.
Okay.
But I still like it.
Oh, it doesn't mean it's bad, but it's the one that you're like, yeah. I mean, I might skip it. Might. All right. What song on this record would you fuck to?
Champagne Supernova.
I've fucked to all of them,
Yeah.
but not but it hasn't been the one fuck. I've had to do it over 12 times. I've done the whole album in a week.
All right.
And there wasn't even another person in the room.
Oh,
I
good
definitely
God.
say Champagne Supernova because it starts off really, really slow. It builds to a crescendo, and then it whimpers out. So that's
It's just like you did.
I did.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I like roll with it because if dun, 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 dun,
it's like, here we go.
you're really fucking
thump,
it. And no one makes love to roll with it.
Yeah.
You fuck to roll
Dude,
with it.
I'm fucking the morning glory, dude, because I want to have her on the bed, and then it's those noises, down, 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 down. I just come out all naked and erect,
Dun, dun, dun,
Just-
dun.
and then all you need is, and then I'm just fucking rapid fire, bro. All right, Liam or Noel?
Okay, this is a very tricky question, and I love them both in different ways. I like Liam solo work more. I'm gonna have to say Liam,
Okay.
but Noel is the person I want to hang out with more.
I go Liam.
But Liam,
Yeah.
Wow.
Liam's the last great rock star.
Yeah.
we haven't had one since. He's the last, and even Noel says it. He's a rock star in the purest meaning of the thing. He's a fucking star,
And he hasn't
He's a
lost it
star.
at all. Like you see a lot of the rock stars we started with, they just start to fade. They don't look good. I mean, this guy has looked like a rock star since he was 18,
Yeah.
and he still looks like a rock star, and he's got to be in his 50s now, right? And
Yeah.
he's
There's about 4 people on the planet that are uncancelable. You can't cancel Liam
Yeah,
Gallagher.
that's
You
true.
can't. He knocks up fucking MTV reporters that he had an interview with. He gets them pregnant, and they can't cancel him. He could come out dressed like Hitler. They wouldn't cancel. It's just like, oh well, that's Liam. What's he up to?
Yeah.
He's causing a. He's uncancelable. Name me other people in this planet that are uncancelable. Is that the right word? Cancelable? Cancel. Anyway, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right? You can't cancel him. That's a very rare thing in our
Well, I
society.
think any Democratic president or Liam Gallagher, you can't cancel him.
Yeah. I hear he's cute. I hear he's farming children. Off in a,
Do you think they will ever get back together?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I think we're about, because Liam desperately wants to get back together.
Yes, I mean,
He's like this. When they did the Ariana Grande, he's like, why don't you come and fucking sing your songs, man? The fucking kids want it, man. There was a big fucking explosion, you know. And then he tweets like, I'm ready when you're fucking ready. And then he'll tweet something like, fucking potato head,
Yeah.
and start teasing his brother. And you're like, and I watch these tweets, I'm like, Liam, you were so close. You were making a bridge, and then you fucking burn it down in the next fucking tweet, you dumb cunt, right?
Yeah.
But I believe that, and I don't think it will ever come down to money. I think they've both got more than enough money they ever need. It's not going to be like Guns N' Roses, sort of like, we didn't really invest very well and blah, blah, blah. Let's just do this, right? I feel like it was a begrudging type of thing. I don't think it will ever be like a let's get the cash type of get back together. I think it'll be like, all right, you've apologized, I've apologized, let's fucking do it. But this is my belief. They will get back together and they will break up again.
Yeah. There's a part of me that doesn't want them to get together again, because I as a Beatles fan, and I just read the book The Last Days of John Lennon by James Patterson, and it's a great read. And I got to tell you, I don't know. I think the myth of the band just is that much more accentuated when it's like, oh, they coulda, they shoulda, why didn't they? And there were all these moments where they almost got together and they just never did. And I think that provides something to the mystique of the band. And I also think that, you know, they certainly were a moment in time, and I'll never replicate that moment in time again in my life. But the closest I'll come is when I get in my car and I get in the highway and I put that in and I just drive fast as hell, listen to Some Might Say, and I put the windows down, I sing at the top of my lungs. That to me was everything back in the 90s and early 2000s, and getting to see them live.
Steve,
I tell you what, if they do get back together,
I'm going.
the band that we'll do it, Steve. We'll make the trip.
Fuck yeah.
Right? The band that I want to get back together is the band on this album and this album alone.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want fucking Bonehead. I don't want the original drummer. I want White.
Alan.
Right?
Yeah.
I want Alan White, and I want that
Bonehead, Giggsy,
Giggsy,
yeah.
Alan White. Yeah, that's the band that I want to see back there. As nice as the other lads were on the other band albums, and
Gem and Andy
Professional
Bell,
and Good,
and
and all that type of stuff. I want to see this band on this album get back together.
I honestly think that they are going to get back together in 2022. I don't know what is making me think that, but I saw a couple tweets recently, and I also feel because of the pandemic and the way that the world is, and I hopefully it brings them to realize that, you know, hey man, if we're going to do it, we got to do it now. And
if they get back together, do they sell out a stadium in America? Because they never did that in America.
Yes, they will.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't think so. I think they would be like a Coachella thing. I think they would have like, they could do well, but I don't think that's important to them.
I'll fly to the UK if they get back together.
I think that's the important thing. It's almost like when Zeppelin got back together or anything. There's no point. They've already conquered what they need to conquer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, I'd love to see Morrissey and Marr get back together and play the same show with Oasis. That to me is the two Manchester bands.
If they did get together, right, we're all assuming it's a tour. Do you think that they would ever put an album out together again?
No,
Never?
I don't think they need to. I think
Really?
I think they definitely would. I think if they get back together, they will release a single, and that will be the whole thing. We've got a new song or whatever, like that type of stuff. But it's like the Beatles. When the Beatles broke up, there's tracks off every single album that the Beatles had that if you put them all together, you could have made a great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the Noel albums and Liam albums, they are closer to having a killer record between the two of them broken up than they did together.
Yeah.
And they did together for the last 10 years. The last 10 years, they're closer now to having a great album than they were back then.
I think the breakup only benefited Liam, because Liam has kind of come to his own, and he sounds the most. He still has his own identity, but his songs sound the most like an Oasis song. If you're going to go down the rabbit hole, Noel's got some like dance hall tracks and stuff, and Black Star Rising. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Well, Liam literally sings songs. There was a documentary on Liam, and they reckon that the only person he's performing to is Noel, to prove himself to Noel. So he still looks and like for what it's worth, I'm sorry for it's like song directly sang to him. Now I'm not being a conspiracy theorist where I think this means this. These are songs that are directly sung to his brother.
Absolutely.
And so I think he desperately wants to get back in the band together. Yeah.
It's got to be hard for Noel, because Noel writes everything. But when people think of the singer of the band, they think of Liam. You know, it's like Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. You know, Pete Townsend writes everything, but I think Noel will look at a record and go, this is the record I finally, like Pete does with Roger. I think he'll look and he'll go, I've got 8 songs. Mm-hmm. And I can now give Liam these 8 songs. He's the one that'll knock these out of the park.
All right, last question. Does this deserve to be on the 500 greatest albums list?
Yeah, 100% it does, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it was at the time they were the biggest band in the world. And they always had aspirations to be the biggest band in the world. But for literally a few months over the course of, what was it, 1995? 1995, they were the biggest band in the world. So much so they hit the cover of Rolling Stone. They were doing arenas in the States. I mean, that was always the benchmark, right? Is the States, and things would always fall apart. But those 3 songs, especially Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova. You could go to South Africa, you could go to England, Australia, India, anywhere you want, and you play those songs, and people will know that in any bar or pub. 100%.
100%.
It's one of those bands that if you meet someone who has a CD collection and they've only got 20 CDs, there's a good chance this is always in it.
Sure,
it's great.
No, I completely agree.
It's always in it.
I think this album's phenomenal. I think it's, like I said, I think it's one of the most important British, and I think this is Britpop, but I think it's one of the most important British bands and albums, definitely of the last, 30, 40 years. It's incredible. And it's like,
they were the biggest band in the world in spite of themselves. They were canceling gigs and not showing up, and they were still the biggest one.
But they're a testament to like what a band.
Let's put this in comedy, right? Like we all know about comedy, right? Imagine there was a comic who was so good that sometimes they just didn't show up.
Yeah.
I don't know one. And then people still bought tickets again a week later. They still went, all right, I'll give it another go.
You don't think Chappelle can do that? You don't think Chappelle can get away with that?
Yeah, but he hasn't done it. Chappelle, don't show up a few times and prove it to us.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Chappelle fucking put his foot in the water and see if that happens? You know what I mean? Like fucking,
There are certainly
I
comics
haven't-
I know that the staff would wish they wouldn't show up, but
Oh, I know a lot of comics who have shot themselves in the foot. You know what happens when they shoot themselves in the foot? They don't have a fucking foot and they fall over.
Yeah.
Oasis kept on shooting themselves in the foot and they were running forward.
Well, you think about like the greatest British bands to come out of, England the last 20 years. There's a lot of people that say Radiohead or Oasis, and I'm telling you, after my shows, I find a dive bar, I find an Irish pub, I get some Jameson, I relax, and I've never heard radio played in a pub. I've heard Oasis played in a pub 9 times out of 10. I hear them all the time.
Yeah, no one ever gets all together for Radiohead and sings together. They never fucking do it.
That's what I said. Is I wish this were their third album, because where it is in its sort of ferocity of what it is this anthemic album. If this were their third album, I think they were already huge, but this would have changed everything, because Be Here Now sort of sputtered apart with the drugs, and because of this album being so huge, that was such an expected. That was like, I remember being at Tower Records when that came out. People are like, "This, you heard that album? This is good." I wish, because this album is what I thought their third album would be like. Be Here Now. If that had come out, it would have been over. You know what I mean?
I read in an interview that Noel said that his friend had the best analogy for Be Here Now. He said, "Get all your friends, get them to your house, get all the drugs, do all the drugs, play this, and then throw the album out and never listen to it again."
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's...
Guys, this was phenomenal. Thank you for coming, both of you guys, on. Promote away. Jim, go ahead.
I got nothing to promote. It turns out there's a pandemic happening and I don't have any gigs.
Podcast.
Oh, I got a podcast. Jim Jefferies, I don't know about that podcast. Look at that. My assistant's taped that to the fucking wall.
You didn't even know
It's
about the
already there.
podcast.
It's a
on brand.
podcast where I don't know what the topic's going to be, and we get a specialist come on, and then I try to spout off everything I know about it. And so it's called I Don't Know About That. And we talk about everything from fucking politics to aliens to fucking cheese to wars and all that type of stuff. We might talk about this. I know about this, so it won't be a good topic.
Yeah. Steve, what do you got?
I'm on a podcast with Brian Callen called Big and Hungry, and my film that I wrote and directed about stand-up comedy called The Opening Act is available to rent or own.
Nice.
So, yeah.
It's phenomenal too, buddy. That's still the thing that upsets me more than anything, was that you called me to be in it when I was fucking doing a festival. But of course, to play like a homeless guy, right? I was supposed
Uptown
to be
Promise.
like a... God damn it, dude.
Yeah, that says a lot about you. He didn't call me to play a homeless guy.
No, that's just like how your brand is you don't know shit. My brand is homeless guy.
I don't have you wouldn't have an Australian homeless bloke. Like, how bad did this holiday go?
Right. Can I get $1 from you?
This guy's like, "Oh, fucking give me $1, will you? Come on, you cunt."
How did you get to America? Don't know.
Yeah, I bought the ticket, but I didn't think out the full trip.
Morty, go ahead. You got anything?
Just follow me on Twitter, DJ Morty Coyle, and all my other information's up on there, everybody. And tell us how you love this show, because we've had really great ardent supporters coming up. Shout out to TJ. Shout out to TJ, who is one of our big Fleece Army guys. And, can't thank you guys enough for sharing your passion for this album, man.
Yeah. JT, you got anything? Even though you really didn't say anything?
_podcast exec and ncpodcast.com for all our podcasts.
Once again, guys, I can't thank you enough. This was so much fucking fun, man.
Thank you, fellas.
All right.
Lots of love.
Thanks for having us, Josh. Appreciate it.
Love you.